he says, this is towards the end of the Gita, therefore the scripture is your authority. If you want to know what kind of actions you should take, this is what Krishna says. The previous shloka in fact says that ignoring the ordinance of the scriptures, he who acts under the impulsion of desire will never attain happiness. Then he says, therefore the scripture is your authority in deciding what is to be done, what is not to be done. Knowing what is ordained by scriptures, you perform your duty. So this is the key thing. You need a guiding light, and that your scriptures are there. In the simplest form, it is the Gita. But then if you really develop, you can look at Upanishads. And you can get, and then you can look at the yamas and the niyamas and so on. There's no end. I mean, for character development, the Hindu thought has plenty of this. So then ultimately, what we say is that the concept of intelligence, according to the Upanishads, is not what we today think. Today, you ask any student. I went to the Indian Institute of Management one day to give a lecture, and I asked the class, which was a large class because all the both the 2 years of MBA were there. I asked them, why did you join the MBA course? And I asked a few people to put up their hands who wanted to answer. 5 people put up their hands, and I asked them all 5. All 5 said only one thing: because the IMM is the surest way to get a good job. That is why we are an IMM. I said, you have no love for the theory of marketing or the theory of finance. That you are no. This is where we know that as soon as we graduate, we'll get a job, and therefore, and then also the matrimonial columns it is said MBA, the dowry is higher than if it's not an MBA. So this kind of thinking is there, and therefore they develop what is called as cognitive intelligence. Cognitive intelligence is to be able to reason in abstract, know mathematics, physics, these are all cognitive. But the Upanishads recognizes that there are other intelligences. And I was surprised to find, without quoting the Upanishads or referring to the Upanishads, Harvard Education Department has a course on intelligence. And it is literally, in my opinion, is a carbon copy of what is there in the Upanishads. And that it says is cognitive intelligence of one dimension of intelligence. There is a second dimension of intelligence, and that second dimension, which I came last time, I spoke to the students, I told them that they should develop. That is called emotional intelligence. The capacity to know how to address people to evoke a positive response. If you say you're an idiot and therefore you won't understand, you're not going to get him as your friend. So you have to address it in such a way. Of course, you can't tell everybody in soft language because some people are very dumb, they won't understand soft language. So you have to assess that. And now there is a book by David Coleman called Emotional Intelligence. You can go to the Google and type emotional intelligence and you'll get a series of books. Then there is something called social intelligence. Social intelligence is the intelligence to do things which doesn't harm society. So this harmonization, which is always at the root of Hindu thinking, harmonization. This harmonization of social good and your personal aspirations. And that requires again intelligence. Then another dimension of intelligence, which would be the 4th dimension, which is called moral intelligence. That you should harmonize your actions for your personal advancement within the moral framework, that you do not do anything unethical. You will not deprive the society of its resources. You will not engage in corruption. These have to be inculcated. If you inculcate, the more much money you have, the more your social status. It is not this is not an Indian I mean, it's not Santana Dharma to say making money is an end in itself. Because making money in an end in itself has already been denounced by Santana Dharma. Two great rishis, when they came together to structure the society, one was Rishi Brigu, the other was Rishi Bhagavad. They discussed among themselves how to structure society which lasts long and is stable. And Brigu then said, you see, a society can be stable only if there is a balance. And the balance can come if there are four sources of power in a society, they are separated. No one has more than one of that. So he identified knowledge, weapons, wealth and land as the sources of power. And he said that those who have knowledge, they should not have weapons, they should not have wealth, and they should not have land. And that was the varna called Brahman. It had nothing to do with birth, because people went into the field of knowledge, became Maharishis, even though they were born in different families. For example, Veda Vyasa, who wrote the Mahabharata, his mother was a fisherwoman. Kalidasa, who wrote the, Valmiki, who wrote the Ramayana, is popularly believed to be a child of the Dalits, or Dalit parents. And as far as Kalidasa is concerned, he was a hunter. And Vishwamitra was the Rishi of Rishis. Even the gods were afraid of him. He came from parents who were Kshatriyas. They were not Brahmins. But he became a Maharishi. Ravan was a Brahmin. And many people didn't know that, because for long years, this Dravida Kadagam in Tamil Nadu used to name their sons as Ravanan, and they used to celebrate Ravan Leela. Only recently they found out, thanks to my campaigning, that Ravan was a Brahmin. Now they have stopped talking about Ravan. they only in fact, you see, Ravan was such a great bhakta of Shiva that he went to Mansarovar. And there he did tapasya. And Shiva Bhagavan told him, I'll appear whenever you want me to appear. That he gave him. Even the nakshatras, he put them under his throne. So that kind of power he had. Samaveda he was an expert of. But he broke the law. He kidnapped somebody's wife. And he was killed by Rama, who was not a Brahmin, who was a Kshatriya. And all the Brahmins do not condemn Rama for saying you killed one of our Brahmins. They worship him because he stood for Dharma. So when I myself got the Chinese to agree to reopen Kailash and Mansarovar, the Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping told me on one condition, you will go first. And it was hellish, because you had to walk up to 18,000 feet. And I've not walked on flat land for more than 1 kilometer. And for me, suddenly, at least in those days, I had not walking practice. But I had to walk suddenly all the way up, and it took me 22 days to reach Mansarovar. And when I reached on the way to Mansarovar, I saw a huge lake. So I thought that was Mansarovar. And I went to, I told the Tibetan guy who was with me that, is this Mansarovar? He said, no, this is called Ravan Haranga. So I said, what does that mean? He said, Haranga means Sarovar in Tibetan. But Ravan is an Indian name, he said. So I said, good, let me have a sip of this water. So he said, no, if you touch this water, you will have very bad consequences. You may even die. So in a mischievous mind, I took a bottle and put some water and sent it to Karnanidhi, saying, please drink it and spare me. So I am saying that here is a man who comes from a Rakshas Jati. We have always, these Westerners don't know the distinction between Jati and Varna. Varna has nothing to do with birth. And Ravan, even though he was from a Jati of Rakshas, he acquired the status of a Brahmin. And Rama recognized that, that's why after killing him, not out of regard for Ravan, but because of the institution of Brahmins, he went and did Brahma Hatya Devan Puchas. And he did it in Rameshwaram. So, therefore, I am saying that this concept of intelligence, where this morality is a very important part, and that includes not this craze for money. And that's how Brigu stabilized our society. That people in the highest ranks of our society, they will be only people who specialize in knowledge. And you can, the third caste, third varna, you can make money, but then you must be philanthropic to earn social status.